but they took out the.
Expected to see.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to April 28th, 2025 budget hearing for Finance Committee and Town Council. Can we please rise for the national anthem?
Yep. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance, excuse me. Start singing.
Singing.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic stands one nation, God, indivisible.
Margaret, could you please take the roll?
Tony Dorsey.
Here.
Tony Cinto. Ann Sather.
Here.
John Foreman.
Here.
Mary Isaac. Here. Kevin Shively. And Nicole Satin. Here.
Thank you. So on the agenda today, we have 4 hearings, and then we will move to the Finance Committee voting session. So first is Mary Markham for Town Clerk.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Just gotta hit the button.
The base.
The base.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the way we've been doing this is for both Town Clerk and Vital Statistics, just a quick presentation or summary of any information you want to give, and then we'll open up to questions.
Okay. There's not much changes in our budget. Vital statistics, there's no change. It's exactly the same as it always is, pretty much. At the town clerk budget, 3,800 was removed, 1,300 was removed from, because of the onboard program, which was, we were not using it, the first selectman's office had been using it. The only other, I'm trying to think what else there was a change in. Oh, I changed the seasonal temporary, we reduced it because we had more last year because it was a presidential election and we bring in more people. That's pretty much, and the conferences were cut because we haven't used it in the last 4 years. And the reason we haven't used it is we haven't had a full staff since COVID, between me falling and getting hurt and losing a staff person and gaining a new one. We haven't been able to go to conferences. My assistant did go last Thursday and Friday for the first time since he's been here. That's pretty much it. If anybody has questions.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, bill for sewers, which is page 15 on the sheet and 427 in the book.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Gotta hit the base.
Nope, down by the. There you go.
Good evening. WPCA, our budget's pretty much flat. We added a little bit for the increase to the Bridgeport rate. We did add a new employee for making it to 3. It'll be 3 sewer maintainers as opposed to 2 that we have now. There was a couple minor other changes and some OSHA requirement training that we added, but other than that, it's been pretty minor. Any questions?
Any questions? Mary, go ahead.
Just for the going under the merit for that project, since DOT is making you change and go that route, is there any funding that would be available for that?
Not at this time that I'm aware of, but we will pursue any kind of funding that we can for any grant opportunity.
Hey, Bill. Are you at liberty to talk about the contract with the sewers?
Not really. With the contract with Bridgeport, you mean?
Well, there's only one place.
Yeah, that's only one place, but no, I'm not really prepared to speak about that at the moment.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thanks, Bill.
Yep.
Okay, next up is Tashua Knowles, Jay Cunningham. And this will be page 15 and 16 on the sheet and 437 in the book.
Good evening, Jay Cunningham, Finance Committee Chairman of the Tash Reynolds Golf Commission. So our budget is just over $3 million. It's a 10% increase versus our 2025 fiscal year. And I'd really kind of draw your attention to the capital outlay line. That's really where the increase is driven. We've elected to pursue a maintenance barn. The golf course has purchased quite a bit of new equipment, refreshed equipment over the last few years. We'd like to keep it in good working order and condition, so that project will be $250,000 that we're paying out of the operating budget. As well as there's some range netting, which is actually a rollover of an expense from last year that didn't get funded. We didn't, actually, the contractor pulled out, so we're just rolling that through the retained balance. So if you kind of back those items out, we're flat to down from fiscal year 2025. The rest is kind of just expense, offsets and offsetting some, wage increases with some other expense decreases in the lines. But if there's any specific questions, I can try to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions? Mary, go ahead, please.
Is the solar project, is that slated for this year, this coming year, or the next year?
So that'll be in this fiscal year
In
budget.
this budget? Do you know what the cost of that is? by
Sure.
chance?
So we have to do a new roof, so that's 40 plus thousand on the roof, and then it's 106,000 in round numbers. But then we get some credits back to help offset that.
Okay, thank you.
Carl?
Hi, have you resolved all the water issues in the basement of the main building?
Yes, we continue to monitor that. I mean, I'm assuming from last year and before my time, but Tony keeps a pretty good eye on that, and we've been very successful in remediating any kind of go-forward water issues.
You're still getting water?
As far as I know, no.
Do you know what remedial actions they took?
I know they spent some money on pumps, and I'm not quite sure. I don't want to speak out of turn
Yeah,
on that. I
okay.
think some of that happened before my time on the commission.
Is there anything in this year's budget request for maintaining the basement?
Well, there's in the maintenance line item, right, for the facility, if there's, to the extent there's anything that comes up that's unexpected, there is money in the budget for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Jay.
All righty, thanks.
Good evening. So that's it for the hearings. I think we'll move now to, we have to wait till 7? Okay. We'll take a pause until 7 PM? Do we have to?
It's a separate meeting.
So we need a motion to close. Can I have a motion to close the session?
So moved.
Do I have a second? By unanimous consent? Thank you. All right, thank you all for returning. We're now at the point where Town Council Finance Committee will start the voting session for the 25-26 fiscal budget. Margaret, can you please take the roll?
Tony Dorsey.
Here.
Tony Sinto. Ann Sather.
Here.
John Foreman.
Here.
Mary Isaac. Here. Kevin Shively. And Nicole Satin. Here.
Thank you. So let's start first under general government, town council. Are there any motions to the budget for town council? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Next, Trumbull Nature Commission. Any motions? Okay, thank you. Ethics Commission. Okay.
Just yell when we have one.
Okay. I'll count to 5. First Selectman's Office. Okay. Probate. Nothing here. No probate. Okay. Elections. Okay. Finance Department. Okay. Board of Finance. Okay. Tax Assessor. Okay. Board of Assessment Appeals. Okay. Tax Collector. Okay. Purchasing. Okay. Treasurer. Technology. Nikki.
Yeah, I'd like to motion to add the $40,750 back into 581888 capital outlay.
Do I have a second? Mary, okay. Discussion, what's the basis for the addition?
Bill said he's coming back for supplemental. He's going to need the money, and I don't see any reason to keep it out of the budget if he's going to be asking for it.
Any questions? Discussions?
He's still gonna have to come back for the 15,250 that was taken out.
Yes.
And so I believe the Board of Finance just decided they wanted to just lump everything together that wasn't leased and have him come at one time, but this at least helps on his end, timing-wise.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Can we pass this by unanimous consent? No? Okay, Margaret, please take the roll.
You don't need a roll. You don't need a roll, just show of hands.
Okay,
Show
all in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Maria, what is the new?
The new total is $1,470,024.
24.
Total technology.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the new budget line item for $1,470,024? Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Town attorneys? Okay. Human resources. We are going to skip employee benefits for the moment. Town clerk. Town hall. Planning and zoning. Economic development. Inland Wetlands Commission. Conservation Commission. Transit District. Okay. We will pause on voting for general government until we revisit the benefits. We'll start with public safety, police, animal control, emergency medical services, fire marshal, fire marshal hydrants, fire hydrants. Building official, emergency management. That closes public safety with no changes. The final number is 16,552,2889. Okay, thank you. Next, Public Works. Public Works Director. Public Works Streetlights. Public Works Highway. Snow removal. Public Works Building Maintenance. Fleet Maintenance. Recycling Center. Town Engineer. Okay, that closes Public Works, no changes. Final budget, $10,884,849. Next up, Health Department. Vital statistics. Nursing seniors. Okay. It closes public health with no changes. Final number, budget number 655,519. Social services. Human resources is next, so social services. No changes. Mary Sherlock Counseling Center. Thank you. Senior Citizen Services. That closes social services, human services. Budget number 1,059,201. Next, education. First, education. Any? Okay. School nurses. Non-public school. Trumbull Business Ed Initiative. Trumbull Community Television. Okay, no changes. That closes education. Final number 137,456,242. Libraries. Any motions? Okay, that closes libraries. Final number 1927708. Next up, recreation and parks, public events. No motions. Parks. No motions. Tree warden. Okay. That closes recreation parks, no changes. Final budget number 4197882. Debt service. Any motions? That closes debt service. 210,964,164. Final number. Enterprise funds.
Wait,
Yes.
what was the number?
210,964,164. That's the total debt service.
No, that's general fund, you have to wait for that.
Wait for that. Okay.
Yeah. That's 8,516,282.
85. Okay, that's the number. Thank you. Sewers enterprise and under enterprise funds, any motions? closes sewers enterprise. Final budget number 111038822. Tashua Knolls enterprise. Any motions? Okay. No motions. That closes that budget number. Now we go back to employee benefits.
There will be no changes there because you didn't make any salary changes.
Okay,
So then we just can go to general government.
okay, so no changes there. Maria, what's the final number for general government?
At $29,754,342.
Do I have a motion to adjust the budget to $29,754,342? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, now do
And
final.
then the final general fund is $211,004,914.
211,004,914.
004,914.
Do I have a motion to adjust the budget, general fund, to $211,4,914? That's the general.
Where are we? I'm sorry.
That's the total general fund.
That was the increase by $40,750.
Debt service.
With the debt service.
The number that was read, that's for by the state. Okay, right.
That's this number right here. Yeah. Okay. So do I have a motion to change the general fund budget to $211,004,914? John, do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Work for a while.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now we do grand total.
Grand total, $225,147,577.
Do I have a motion to change grand total of the town budget to $225,147,577?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. That closes out the town council budget hearings. Thank you all very much. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you all.
Occasions.
Good evening. Welcome to the Legislative and Administrative Committee for April 28th, 2025. If you can all please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Joseph Pifko,
Here.
Mike Buswell,
Here.
Steve Lemoyne,
Here.
Veronica Lenzen,
Here.
Jason Marsh,
Here.
Ashley Gaudiano. Here. Tony Sinto. And Nicole Satin.
Thank you. Mr. Buswell, will you please bring Resolution TC 30-141 to the floor, please?
Certainly. Resolution TC 30-141, to consider and act upon a resolution which would appropriate $125,000 from the general fund to 01050600-522202, services and fees professional.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have anyone here to speak to this resolution, please? Hello, Ms. O'Brien.
Good evening. Lori Hayes O'Brien, Chairperson of the Community Facilities Building Committee. This amount of money is to cover the extension of the contract with QA&M Architecture for the directive given by this town council to our committee to pursue alternative designs to what we presented at the April 7th meeting, yes.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Mr. Lemoyne.
Thank you. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
I'm looking at the architect's statement of work for the $125,000, and I think there's some things on here that need to be fixed before next week's meeting. If you look at page 2 of their statement of work, they have a phase 1 and they go to a phase 3, but there is no phase 3. It should be phase 2, if I'm reading this correctly.
So,
So
let me pull out what the original one is and see if that's in reference to that. I have that, thank you. This, I think he just really followed the outline of previous extensions, so let me just double check. Yeah, I mean, typically phase 2 is the concept and threshold design, building and site, which is here listed as phase 1. So I would assume the next step would be the phase that should be phase 2. I will have our legal people fix that and ask QA&M to correct that as well, and just make sure that there's nothing else that needs to be in there.
Okay. Also, over on page 3, it lists phase 1 costs, and then at the bottom it says total phase 2 base services, so that should be phase 1.
Yes, thank you.
And last, I guess, my question is, I don't see any timelines in here. I know the council asked that they get back to us with this work by July, and I don't see any timelines in here for either of the phases.
Yeah, typically in any of the contracts, we haven't had a timeline, but the architects are very aware of the timeline that was presented. I'm sure, I'll ask Mr. Shopik if that's something that would be appropriate to add in here, if that is necessary, although there is still a little confusion given the motion made at the last meeting of the June-July timeline. So maybe if we had some clarification on that, I can pass that along.
Okay.
Your names are mixed up. That's okay, I know who you are. Ms. Guadiana.
I try to do that sometimes, too.
I can be Nikki for tonight.
As long as I don't call you Jason Marsh, we're okay.
Well, then we would definitely have some problems.
Ouch.
Lori, just for my understanding, when I'm looking at those documents, right, this is to provide, where did I see 3 to 5
Yeah, it's one of-
designs, right? Where was I? prepare 3 to 5 concepts. So that's on page 1.
Yes.
What we were asked for was 3, I believe. And so I guess I'm wondering, is there a way to reduce this cost at all based off the number of designs we're looking at? Or are we locked into this, or is this an up to or
So-
not to exceed?
This would be 3 in the full context of what the council asked for, which means 3 that have cost estimates included with them. I will tell you that Tom did this, that was on April 7th. I probably told him on April 8th to come up with this, and he left out of the country on April 9th. So he did come up with 5, and I think that was just to give the committee an idea to phase that down to 3. But for the full extension of what the council's asking us for, 3 would be the number. I can have him changing on this. I think in his thinking, he was just saying, let me throw a lot out there and see what the committee is comfortable pursuing.
Okay. And then I guess the follow-up to that is and I know that we need some clarity around the motion made, whether that was asking for 3 in addition to the one we already have, or 3 inclusive of the one. And again, is there a way to get this fee down by needing only 2 designs plus the 1?
So I've had those discussions offline, we'll say. And my understanding was 3 alternate plans. If that means also looking at the first one, we already know what that is. And there may be slight changes. We haven't had a committee meeting, and Tom has done no work because we're not contracted with him at this point to do that. But my understanding is 3 alternates. How differing those 3 alternates will be, I'm not sure, because we're really tied into the program elements that are necessary. So it's going to be a work in progress to get that.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing, thank you, Lori. Anything else you'd like to add, or?
No, we're good.
Okay, thank you. All right. Can I call for a vote? All in favor?
Abstaining from this vote.
You're okay.
I'm a no.
You're a no. Okay. So let's have the vote. All in favor? Those opposed? Those abstaining? Okay, thank you. All right. Ms. Levson, will you please bring Resolution TC 30-142 to the floor?
Sure. Resolution TC 30-142, be it resolved that the tax abatement agreement for the development of real property known as 75 Merritt Boulevard is hereby approved.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak regarding this?
Good evening, Rena Bacalar, Director of Economic and Community Development for the town of Trumbull. I know we have several members of our tax partnership committee here. Jason and Carl are with us, so I'm going to give some background on the actual property, then on the company, then on the situation, and then on the potential tax abatement package that we're discussing, okay? And folks, please chime in if you can bring up the rear, so to speak, here with this. There's a lot of information. So the property we're talking about is 75 Merritt Boulevard. It is in our Trumbull Corporate Park. It is 115,000 square foot building. It was mothballed by Unilever in 2014 when they were downsizing their footprint in Trumbull and other places. And it sat for some time. In and around 2018, and I never did check that exact date, but in and around January 2018, I believe it was, it sold to somebody who wanted to try to multi-tenant the building. This is an important point. This building was built for a single user, and that means the floor plates, the amenities, the elevators, They're for a single company. And when you try to multi-tenant such a building, it's very difficult. It's hard to split the space up in a way that's conducive for companies to function in adjacent areas to one another. It gets expensive, difficult. In addition to that, the office market, I don't think I need to tell anybody, is softer than it was, back then. So the building has currently, it had 2 tenants. We moved a tenant from Fairfield into the first floor a few years back. That was Kyber Security. They've since relocated next door to 55 Merritt Boulevard, and they're going to stay there. So that is one of the tenants that was in the building. There's also a catering tenant in the building, and they're working to relocate, and I am trying to assist the catering tenant. So the building is otherwise empty. Right now, there's utility issues and all other kinds of things going on with the building. So, since this building was sold twice, right? Since Unilever sold it again, the person who bought it that second time basically turned the keys back, so to speak, right? It's in foreclosure. Sachem Capital out of Branford holds the debt on the property. The title has not been transferred yet to Sachem. It's my understanding from the CupTech folks, I haven't confirmed this with Sachem, but they expect the title to be transferred in about 30 to 40 days. Okay, so that the CupTech folks are under contract for purchase. There are a number of contingencies in that contract to purchase agreement. And there's also a due diligence deadline of May 25th. CubTech is a R&D technology medical manufacturing company. They're currently located, some of the folks I think went to visit today. I haven't had a chance to ask how it went. They're currently located in Stratford. They're a 20-year business. They're growing significantly year over year, new product lines, so forth. But one of their main areas is they create portable X-ray machines. And those portable X-ray machines are used in hospital operating rooms, and particularly, not exclusively for breast cancer, but that's a big area. So what they do is they X-ray the tissue, and they're able to see that the margins are clear, and it saves doctors having to go back in and reoperate and take out additional tissues, that kind of thing. They also have some new technology where they're using X-ray machines to evaluate the quality of seeds in agriculture. They've also used this technology on archaeological sites and other kinds of uses and applications. They're an international company. They're an exporter, a significant exporter. Most of their supply chain comes from the region. So that's a little bit about who they are. They own across the street from their existing building in Stratford. They own a parcel of real estate that has nothing on it. It's just a field, basically a lot. They have been going in the direction of building a 30,000 square foot facility on that. So they would have a total, in that scenario in Stratford, of their existing 20,000 square foot building, and then right across the street, they would have a 30,000. They're bursting at the seams in the 20,000. Many of us have visited. I know you guys were there today. They have stuff stacked all over. They do everything on site, so they need more space. And they were pursuing a lot of, fairly aggressively. They had their financing for the Stratford build, and they had pursued a tax incentive in Stratford. That is in an opportunity zone, which affords more tax incentive opportunities if they were to seek additional opportunities. The Department of, someone I know at the Department of Economic and Community Development linked me up with them, and we began to explore this building, and they're very interested in the building. But if you see that Stratford is if they built there, it'd be 50,000. This is twice that. So it's a much bigger leap in terms of investment to get into the building in Trumbull. But it does provide them long-term growth, whereas Stratford has mid-term growth opportunities. They also have been courted by Houston, Texas, where a major place where they sell to is there, a big medical campus. The name of it is going out of my mind.
MD Anderson.
MD Anderson. And so Houston, Texas has courted them. And it is my feeling that once this gets out more broadly, there could be other people trying to say, well, I have an office building here or there. So I'm cognizant of the way, competition is these days, particularly for these obsolete office buildings. So I think for the town to find such a great company that's interested in moving their existing 44 employees immediately, growing an additional 30 jobs in the next 7 years and potentially more over time, and locating here with an innovative company, that's great for our corporate park. It's great for our innovative corporate ecosystem here. More of that brings more of that. And so they're also great community partners. They do soup kitchens. They do all kinds of things. They have sort of like a Google-esque kind of environment for their employees within their facility in Stratford. They intend on doing a very cool kind of building. And then long-term, midterm, I should say, they intend to build a 150-seat auditorium on an upper floor. That auditorium would allow them to fly people in from around the country, medical professionals, doctors, et cetera, to show their products, but also to teach how it's used and so forth. And this would be an extra terrific benefit to our economy and our hotel, et cetera. So for these reasons, we are here tonight. We'd like to see this single user, not easy to come by, and all the other benefits that I just discussed, and probably more that I haven't discussed, come here to town. This building is in a declining tax position. It's in a declining physical condition. The people that have looked at it, aside from CubTech, one was a significant megachurch that's looking to relocate, one was a major nonprofit, and one was a housing developer. We currently have not opened that zone up to housing, and that would be a long pathway if they were to try to pursue it, and we certainly tried to douse that out, because we've really, the IL3 zone, we really want to see be corporate, industrial, and other kinds of users. Mike, you know that area well, since DBAT is over there, not too far away. So why do we need some kind of tax incentive? They did a comparison. I'm pretty sure it went out to the committee, but I don't know that for sure. I'm not sure what you received, but we'll certainly be able to get that, I guess, for the town council meeting. And they talked about what it would cost to do Stratford, albeit a smaller facility, right, with the two, and what it costs to do here. And there's about a $10 million additional investment they need to make in order to get into this building. So they've been working with the state, trying to work with us, trying to close the gap enough to make this work. And I think that what they're asking for, they've been, in my opinion, reasonable. We've looked at a number of scenarios. So our ordinance, just as a reminder, I know we went through some of this when we amended it recently, but they would never, our ordinance does not allow for lower taxes than currently exist on the property. It is an ordinance that allows us to freeze or abate a portion on a sliding scale, whatever the package is, the incremental tax growth on the property. So we have a building now that's in foreclosure that could go off the tax rolls potentially, depending on who would buy it. Or if they don't have a proper buyer, it would continue to decline. And I think it was Mike, the guy from the Colahan, who raised an important point. He said, a person could buy it and come in and appeal their next, assessment. So further declining potentially the value, because these properties are very, very hard to move right now. So I think we have an opportunity in time to do something responsible and reasonable that can help us bring this great company to town. So having said that, we've had a number of scenarios. And there's a whole team of people, including the finance department, the tax assessor, some of the staff here, our attorneys, folks here, and some folks from the Economic Development Commission who are on the committee. And we've had 3 meetings. Our most recent meeting was this morning. And we are looking at a 20-year abatement. The first 10 years, okay, they would still be paying taxes. They'd be paying the existing taxes on the building during the first 10 years. They would not pay any incremental tax growth in that first 10 years. The next 10 years would be whatever the assessment process is for the town on any property. That property would follow that reassessment and any other mill rate increases or whatever. But in that last 10 years, they'd have a diminishing discount on the incremental tax growth. So it would start at 90%, 80%, 70%, 60%, so that by year 20, they're paying whatever the full boat on the taxes is, inclusive of all of the growth. So the tax payments are still pretty solid, and it helps protect, as we said, those tax payments, because absent such an owner, those taxes will probably decrease, not increase. And it helps us to get in to a building, get it back, and really create a real asset for the corporate park and for the town. So I'll stop there and ask if you have any questions on what I said, or if you'd like me to comment further on the other scenarios. We looked at 3 scenarios, and we landed here at what I just explained to you. And if folks want to know what those other 2 scenarios were, I'd be happy to, my colleagues here or whatever, we'd be happy to comment on that. Okay? I'll stop there.
Any question? Tony, Mr. Cinto?
First thing is the tax freeze on just the building.
Oh, yes, it's not on personal property.
Okay.
So we would gain, thank you, that's a big deal. I forgot to mention that. So whatever their computers, whatever their equipments, their machinery, all of that, vehicles associated, that's all taxable. This is on the real estate taxes.
Okay, and last one is, are they just buying the building and the property? Or does somebody else own the property?
No, they're buying the real estate, the
campus.
the land and the improvements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. I know sometimes they're separated, right?
That's correct. We have that at the mall. There's some, yeah.
Okay. It's not a ground lease situation.
Yeah.
What are the other scenarios?
The other scenarios that they, because under our tax ordinance, letter C, they can propose that new section that we added. They can propose to. So they had proposed a scenario initially for a 20-year solid freeze with no declining or declining discount. We asked them, I think after our first meeting, to come back with 2 additional scenarios, which they did. They came back with a 15-year flat freeze. Then which is more tax forgiveness than what we are suggesting. And then they came back with the 20-year, which was a 10-year freeze and then a 10-year diminishing discount. So,
and then we asked them again to come back with a 10 and a 5.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. That they came back with a 10 and a 5, so 10-year fixed, 5-year declining. It wasn't, there was some money, in there. It wasn't huge, but I think that they were concerned that that was not enough tax forgiveness for what they're trying to close the gap.
Is there a penalty if they bail out
Dan
before the 20
Shopik,
years?
We discussed that today, and Dan Shopik is working on that.
Yeah, we discussed that at this morning's meeting, and the issue was raised, and we do want to have some mechanism that if they don't honor like the spirit of the agreement, that there's some kind of penalty. Also, if they were to sell the property to a not-for-profit, then there would be a clawback of the benefit received because the property would be going off of the tax roll.
And if and the abatement is not transferable if they sold it to another corporation, let's say, not without coming back to the community and I guess having to rethink it.
Any other questions? Yes.
So I wanted the committee to understand that the tax planning committee voted to recommend this 20-year abatement, and I put it to paper, and I think the committee members have a copy of it. This would form really the core part of the abatement agreement. The resolution before the council this month is to approve the actual agreement, which does not exist yet. I've asked our town attorney and the tax planning committee and the council to address this issue, come to this proposal because the applicant has a contractual deadline later this month to resolve these types of outstanding conditions in their purchase agreement. And so I've taken an aggressive approach. I hope the parties can put the pen to paper, have the actual agreement ready for us on Monday, May 5th. We'll see where we are at that point, whether we, as a full council, can vote the resolution up or down. But we'll need to see, more of the additional provisions of the actual full agreement.
May I ask, when you were visiting today, did you update them on anything? Because I was busy the whole day, I didn't.
We did not commit to anything, but they did raise the 10 and 5 scenario, and we said we appreciated doing that exercise, but we think that we're looking at some of the original proposals more closely than that one,
Okay.
which that pleased them.
Yeah. By chance, did you talk timeline with them, this May 5th timeline? I just need to get to them tomorrow, so I want to.
I did mention to the principal that we had this meeting this evening and then the full council meeting on the 5th, that we'd like them to come on the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if enough pieces fall in place, we'll just have to see how the week evolves.
Okay.
But they're aware of the May 5th matter.
Okay.
I have a question.
Ms. Frenzen.
So if the agreement that we're voting on tonight doesn't actually exist, should we pass this to the full council without recommendation?
That would be our expectation, yeah.
Okay. Do you need a motion? I make a motion that we pass this without recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Well, maybe have a wait discussion.
You have a question?
first.
Hang on. Go ahead.
I'm going to vote yes, but
It's fine. You can still ask
Rita,
questions.
is there any concern that when we do one of these, that more companies come to us with this request?
So, you always, Shanice from the press, she was in one meeting. She was, I found out from, I think it was Jason or Dan told me she was on our meeting this morning on our call. So she's going to do an article. So, word gets out. I can tell you any number of people have talked to me about tax forgiveness in the 9 years I've been here. And I'm the first line of defense, so to speak. And if I feel that the deal can happen without it, I try to let them know I feel that way. And I don't believe in giving left and right tax abatements out. It's just not something that I think we should do regularly. I think we should do it when we really need to attract, retain, hit up a certain really problematic area or where it brings substantial investment in and around. So I think we've been pretty good at that so far, and I think we can continue.
Yeah, I mean, the last one we did was in 2017, so it's not like we're entertaining, a host of these regularly. And your concern is certainly, we echoed it on as members of the Tax Partnership Committee. And this is a compelling applicant, and they made a very nice presentation. We went and visited them this morning. They are the type of business, 75% made in the USA. They are, they don't source a lot of their materials and equipment from outside the country. They are a husband and wife owned business. It's not VC backed. It's a local, they live in Fairfield. They want to stay here. And it's the kind of, I think Rena said it, this type of business begets other businesses coming in and making Trumbull more attractive as a destination for high-end research and technology companies, which is, the kind of businesses that could thrive in a less than urban setting.
Right, right.
And I just want to reiterate the fact, and Michael Colohan, stated it very succinctly, this is a dying asset. And we have the opportunity to have someone invest in it, and at the end of 20 years, get back an asset that is, significantly increased in value to the town in many ways, not just financially. And if we don't partner with this applicant, there is a better than average chance that a less desirable purchaser comes along and either takes it off the tax rolls or doesn't develop it into the type of quality facility that the town is looking for.
Yeah, it tries to multi-tenant it again, it doesn't work. It continues to decline. I just want to comment that I think, we will see some applications at some point, and then the tax committee has every, if it somehow gets to the tax committee because it's, borderline or good, there could be something great that happens. The committee has every ability to look at that, say yes or no, recommend or not recommend, and so does the council.
I also want to, this wasn't raised, but more likely than not, the tax abatement agreement will contain a provision that would, the applicant would affirmatively waive the right to tax appeal. So we stave off one of those problems which has plagued Trumbull for recent memory of corporate tenants, having large tax appeals.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Rena.
Okay, well, it sounds very favorable. I just have one question. This meeting that you all had this morning, was this a private meeting?
No, all the meetings
it was
are-
noticed.
It was noticed, okay.
It was
I just questioned the press being there.
just
Okay.
just timing wise. It was, we met last week and we couldn't find a convenient evening, so and given the applicant's deadline, we opted for 9 a.m. this morning on a Zoom meeting.
Okay, that clarifies it. Thank you. All right, we have a motion on the floor to pass without recommendation. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Bacalar. That concludes our business for April 28th. Thank you very much. Meeting is called. I have a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?